What's up, guys? Brian here with Ride Your Money Wave. You can only imagine that once I started publishing these videos that I've been talking about money a lot lately. A lot of friends, a lot of podcast listeners, a lot of people from all the different social circles that I'm in are reaching out to give their support, but also ask questions. And that's what this is all about, is to help you guys. And one of the people that I was talking to, I was actually recalling a story, and he said, you got to tell that. You got to tell that story because that's really encompasses what it's all about. So here we are, and I figured why not tell that story and share it with you guys. Years ago, I was actually at a friend's Christmas party, and I was talking with his dad, who had just retired from being a tool and die guy. And I was congratulating him on his career as being a tool and die maker for one of the big three. And when I was asking him about, what he was anticipating for retirement, does he have any goals or anything like that, we were chatting back and forth, and then he said in passing, you can't straighten a mature tree. And he went on, and a couple of sentences later, I just said, hey, can you go back to that? What did you say about a tree? And he said, well, you can't straighten a mature tree. And I had this dumbfounded look on my face. I wasn't quite picking up the insight that he was giving, but I knew that it was important. And so he said, you ever see those trees where they have stakes in the ground and rope tied around it, and they are keeping that tree from growing straight? They're guiding that tree so that it grows straight? I said, yeah. And he said, well, you can't do that once the tree is mature. The roots are in the ground. If you try to straighten it, you'll kill the tree. You'll rip the roots out. You can't straighten a mature tree. And instead, you can only straighten a tree when it's in its infancy, when it's just starting to take root. And I had this epiphany because at that moment I said, my God, this is like my classroom. This is what I'm trying to teach my students. This is all about money. That encompasses the whole thesis that I have around money. If you make great decisions in your youth, when you have very little money, what you're doing is you are developing the relationship around money, and you're developing a good habit with money. And if you can handle your pennies, your dollars will take care of themselves. If we can teach you how to think about money, how to care about money, how to make good decisions with your money in your youth, those are the stakes in the ground. That is guiding you so that those roots grow deep, and the tree is going to grow straight, and it's going to grow tall, and it's going to provide you and all your loved ones underneath it with plenty of shade and relaxation. And so I've kept that story with me for years and years and years. And anytime I come back to a first decision, anytime I come back to a new path or journey, anytime I come up to a fork in the road of life, I always kind of go back to that saying that you can't straighten a mature tree, because I'm reminded that your earliest decisions are your most important. So think about it. Why, if you give the average Joe $1 million, if you take an NBA player and you sign him a contract and you give him all kinds of money, if you give a lottery winner money, what is most likely to happen? They're all going to lose it. Studies show, statistics show that you're like 7 times more likely to declare bankruptcy if you win the lottery than if you don't. Think about that. What appears to be a blessing, what appears to be someone's wish, winning this lottery, acquiring all these millions of dollars. It sounds like a dream come true, and yet people on the inside who have had it happen to them, they call it the lottery curse. Well, why is that? It's because they're not ready. They're not ready to welcome that money into their life. They haven't thought about it. They don't have a relationship with it. They don't respect the money that they already have. They don't know how to think about it. They don't know how to control that money already. And then on top of that, you pour on millions and millions of dollars. of course, it's a recipe for disaster. That is a mature tree, and magically you're trying to straighten it all of a sudden. You're tearing out the roots, and it's going to die. And instead, if you have a good relationship with money from the very beginning, and if you know and respect the few pennies that you have when you have it, and you make great decisions in your youth when it comes to money, it becomes easier and easier and easier to make great decisions when you're dealing with larger numbers. If your roots grow too deep and your money habits are going sideways, it's going to be pretty painful. It's going to be risky, honestly, to change that money mentality, to change that habit, to change that relationship that you have with money. And so if you make great decisions in the very beginning, which is the hardest time to do it, all the emails that I'm getting right now are people saying, I've got multiple goals and multiple responsibilities and very little money going around right now. How should I handle it? And that is the irony of life. When you have the least amount of money early on in your career is when you also have the most amount of goals and the most amount of debt to pay off and the most amount of direction that your money is going to be going in. And these are some of the most important and impactful decisions that you will make with your money. And yet it's when you have what? The least amount of experience, the least amount of knowledge, and the least amount of money to make those decisions with. It's brutal. Life is a cruel, cruel teacher. But if you can make great decisions, in your youth when you have the least amount of money, you will develop the mindset and the habit to make great decisions when you have even more money. So, if you have questions, please drop me a line below. Let me know how maybe that story resonates with you and maybe some of the lessons that have helped you grow your money tree straight and vertical. Till next time, guys, go out there and go live your best life.